We got a packed house tonight, don't we? It's pretty good. All right. Good evening, citizens of Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery counties. I'm Bobby Stinnett, your host and moderator this evening. I'm a multiple business owner who has co-owned a business in Mount Sterling for almost 20 years. Former vice chair of Republican Party of Montgomery County, father of 8, grandfather of 10. Me and my wife Penny, who is here with me this evening, have been married for almost 25 years. We are former residents of Bath County and also Montgomery County. For years, this district has been represented by the steady leadership of David Hale. But as he prepares for retirement, yes. Hold that for 1 second, please. Hold that for 1 second. But as he prepares for retirement, it is now your responsibility to choose the next voice that will carry your values to Frankfort. Speaking of David Hale, he is here with us tonight, joined by his beautiful wife, Sheila, representing almost 5 decades of marriage. A lifelong resident of Wellington, Kentucky, Hale brings a unique background to the General Assembly as both a retired employee of the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife and also as senior pastor. Throughout his legislative career, he has focused on fiscal responsibility, family-oriented policies, earning multiple Family Champion Awards from the Family Foundation of Kentucky. He serves as the chair of the House State Government Committee. He is a key member of the Agriculture, Transportation, and Primary and Secondary Education Committees. He also has been a champion for life in Frankfort. Representative Hale, on behalf of the residents of the 74th District, I want to sincerely thank you for your dedicated service to Frankfort, your commitment to our communities, from your leadership on the State Government Committee to your tireless advocacy for life, our children, and fiscal responsibility. You have made a tangible difference in the lives of Kentuckians. We especially appreciate the integrity and faith you brought to the House, balancing your role as a legislator, a pastor, and a community leader with such grace. Thank you for your years of hard work and for always putting the people of Kentucky and this district first. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium Representative David Hale.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. And it's such a privilege and an honor tonight to be here at this event. This is really exciting to see a packed house and this coming together with the 3 candidates here vying for the role of the next state representative of the 74th District. I just for a moment just want to reflect just a moment. 12 years I've been in this position. It's been a joy to serve the citizens of, for 6 years, it was a joy to serve the citizens of Montgomery, Menifee, and Powell County. And then in 2020, when the census, new census numbers came out and redistricting was done across the state, my district changed. One county I then represented for the last 6 years. I've represented Montgomery, Menifee, and Bath County. And so I'm honored tonight to be here with you. Montgomery County, I want to say to you, you have been good to me. You have been incredibly good to me. I appreciate every single one of you in this room. I leave tonight, or of course I'll be serving the rest of my tenure out through this year, but our 2026 general session is almost complete. We're down to the last 15 days actually, so we only have about 3 weeks of session left. But as I leave hoping that I'm leaving the district better than I found it. I hope so. As Mr. Stinnett said, I have been a champion for my entire career there. My main focus was to be a legislator that served with integrity, served with honesty. But the one thing that I leave there in a few months with is knowing that I was a big part of changing this state from a pro-choice state to a pro-life state. And that, I leave that. I've told people that was my main focus when I went to Frankfurt in 2000 and elected in 2014, started serving in 2015. But I leave the legislature a little bit sad that it's coming to an end, but as I told some of you, I walked around, I can't wait. So I'm excited to get back. I told somebody there a moment ago, every Friday afternoon when I pull into my farm with my white Dodge truck, my cows are already bawling before I get out of the truck. So they're waiting for me. But I want to say to these three gentlemen up here tonight, I thank you for taking the opportunity. One of you are going to be stepping into a role that's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. It's not an easy task at all. Most people tell us that this is a part-time job. Well, whichever one of you is elected is going to find out quickly that it's not a part-time job. It's a full-time job. But I wish all three of you the very best. And I would just say this to all three of you, whichever one of you wins this election, remember the people that put you there. Remember those constituents. Be loyal to your constituents. Be honest with them. Be faithful to your God. Put your trust in Him, and He will guide you in the tough decisions. And when you get to Frankfurt, there's going to be a lot of outside influences there that's going to try to push you in all kinds of directions. But I just leave you with this. Remember the people that put you there. And I wish all three of you the very best. And when this race is done, anytime that you'd like to call on me, I'll be there to help you and give you advice, and I promise you that tonight. But again, I want to say to all of you tonight, thank you so much. I appreciate you more than I can ever say to you. And my wonderful wife that has been right there with me for this entire run, she goes with me to Frankfurt. She's there. I told her, if she ever decided to run, you guys are in trouble. I'm telling you, she is about 10 times more popular than me, but I really appreciate my wife, Sheila, and 50 years of marriage that I've had with this beautiful lady, and we have had a great life. These last 12 years have been an incredible run, an incredible journey, and I thank the Lord that He'd give me this opportunity to do that. So when you go to the polls in a couple of months, look at all the candidates, decide which one you think would do the best for this community. But I say this, and I know you all will do this because you're here, and you go vote and you tell other people to please go vote. One of the things I told people, even opponents that I ran against, I've told people that even said they weren't going to vote for me. I said, that's okay, go vote anyway. Use your right to decide who's going to be representing you on the state level. So again, I've talked too long, Bobby, but thank you all so much tonight. I appreciate you. God bless you all very much. And now I'm going to lead us in a word of prayer, and I believe it'd be good if we could all stand. Everybody remove their hats if they could, gentlemen, and let's bow our heads, and I'll lead us in a word of prayer as we go into this event this evening. Heavenly Father, what an honor it is tonight to be here in Mount Sterling. What a great community, a great town, a great county, a great district that this is. We come together tonight, Lord, for a wonderful event. We have three gentlemen here that are vying for the position of state representative, and it's a very difficult job. It's not easy at all. And I pray that your blessing would be upon all three of them. I pray that you would just give them comfort and courage, because this is a difficult time. Campaigning is a very difficult period, and and people will say things, and maybe some feelings might get hurt, but I pray that in the end, as we come out of this with whichever one of these gentlemen wins this, that you will bless them in a very special way. I pray that they will have the courage and the strength from the Almighty to do the very best they can for this district, these 3 counties, 47,000 people that they will be representing when they go to Frankfurt in January. And so, Lord, again, thank you for everyone that has come out here tonight. What a great country that we have. The freedoms that we have of worship, the freedoms we have of the press, the freedoms that we have to choose our leaders, whomever that may be. Again, thank you for this event tonight, and I pray a blessing upon it. In Jesus' name, amen.
We are joined tonight by 3 candidates who are stepping forward to lead. Mr. Shannon Denniston, Mr. David Charles, and Mr. Aaron Williams. Each has pledged their commitment to the people of this district. This primary is not just about a name on the ballot. It is about who will best defend your way of life, grow your local economy, and ensure your rural values are never overshadowed at the state capitol. This evening, you will hear their visions for the future. We ask that you listen closely, as your vote on May 19th will shape the direction of your home for years to come. Now for the opening statements. Mr. Williams, we will start with you.
Hello, I'm Aaron Williams. I'm a pro-life, Trump-supporting conservative running for state representative, and I hope to get your all's vote, and I'm happy to represent you all if I win.
Mr. Charles, you're next.
I have to get this mic just right, I believe. Well, hello, everybody. It's great to see everyone here tonight, family, friends. It's only through participating in events such as this that our communities get better. I would like to take this moment to thank my wife, my children, their spouses, my mother and father, as well as my sisters. I'd also like to take this time to thank Bobby Stinnett for putting this event together by himself and all the hard work and expense that he's went through to do this. I applaud you, Bobby. I'd also like to thank Dr. Matt Thompson for allowing us to use this wonderful event space. Thank you, Doc. Now, I normally at this time would introduce myself, tell you who I am. But I think my 4 decades of service in emergency services as first responder has done that already, as well as my countless hours that I have volunteered for youth groups, community groups, to make our community a better place to live. As I go through tonight, I will be giving you facts, not fiction. I will be giving you results, not rhetoric. All the numbers, all the stats that I choose tonight that I give you comes from the appropriate agencies that are in charge of those, and that's where I receive my facts and figures. I predicated my career upon searching for the truth, facts, and the root cause of problems. And these are traits that I'll take with me to Frankfurt as your state representative, because together we can lift this community up for everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Denniston.
First, I'd like to thank for everyone coming out tonight. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful evening. It's a Saturday. You could be doing a million other things, so thank you so much for coming out. And I want to thank my Father in heaven. I want to thank my mom who is here tonight. I want to thank my family. I want to thank especially Elizabeth, who has allowed me to take our business and put it all on her plate to allow me to give 100% to this. And I just can't thank my family enough. We made this decision together, and I put it in their hands, and here I am. So thank you all so much. I want to thank God. God's wrapped his arms around me, and I cannot do this without him, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So thank God for putting each one of us here on the planet, and I promise tonight, with everything in me, to protect the life of the unborn. Without life, you cannot have liberty or happiness. Life is very important to me, and I'm going to take it very seriously in this role. I grew up in Mount Sterling, and I'm 46 years old. I graduated Montgomery County High School right over here. I went through McNabb Middle. I started out in Mapleton, the original Mapleton, and the new Mapleton's equally as awesome. We have some wonderful schools here. We have so much to be thankful for in our communities, and not just Montgomery. I don't want it to overshadow Bath and Menifee. Bath and Menifee need help, just like Montgomery County needs help. We have critical infrastructure problems across all three counties that must be addressed immediately. And it's not just potholes from another season of winter, it's years of destruction to those roadways. So I appreciate everyone for coming out tonight. You're going to hear from three great men, and one of us is going to go on to serve as your next state representative. Thank you so much.
The first question is a public question. This was the first question ever created for this debate, so I wanted to make it first. It is from Brittany Krieger, hope I'm saying your last name correct, registered Republican from Montgomery County. The home and community-based waiver and the Michelle P. waiver are Kentucky Medicaid programs that provide long-term support services to help individuals live at home or in their communities instead of an institution. Home and community-based waivers is a program that is designed for seniors and those with physical disabilities who would otherwise require nursing home care. The Michelle P. waiver specifically serves individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities known as IDD. The question: as a parent of a child with severe disabilities, I've experienced long waiting lists and constant struggles to secure the waiver services that allow me to stay home and care for my child. What will you do to ensure families don't lose those services they depend on, and what will you do to reduce the waiver waiting list? Mr. Williams, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Well, I want to say I'm all for helping people out. I mean, we are called to help people. And what I would do to support those waivers and stuff is I would just, you need to cut the wasteful and fraud spending that's within the government, and so you can have more government money to allocate to those waivers and programs. So that's it.
Mr. Charles?
I made a post on this approximately 2 months ago. This program has a waiting period for these parents that is 2 to 4 years, which is driving many of them into bankruptcy. One of the actions that I would like to take with the help of the other representatives, because we're always going to be a team, it's not an individual sport in Frankfort, is to direct the agency to reallocate their staffing to relieve this backlog that has gone on for way too long and has been ignored by the agency. If it requires taking secretaries away from their other duties to help with the reviewing of these applications, they'd be ordered to do so. And that's the way I would work on removing this backlog, because 2 to 4 years is way too long to wait for a Michelle P. waiver. These parents are already suffering enough trying to care and losing their careers in the process. We do not need to make it harder on them.
If you guys could hold applause after each answer, just because we are really limited on time. Mr. Denniston, 2 minutes.
So what I would do is I would focus in on these two waiver programs, both of which I fully support. The alternative is for nursing home care, and nursing homes are very expensive. Nursing home provides around-the-clock care. With these programs, we're able to keep people that need that type of care in their homes, and we're able to keep them in that natural environment. Not everyone needs around-the-clock care. Some people just need care every other day or maybe a couple days a week. So to save money and make the program more efficient going forward, what I would do is I would reallocate those resources away from nursing home care and over to these two types of programs. just think how many more people that we could provide this level of care to, because not everyone, like I said, needs around-the-clock care. It doesn't make sense to put everyone in the same situation. It's sort of like if we all tried to wear the same size 9 tennis shoe, right? One size doesn't fit all. So these are two great programs, and I support both of them.
Does anybody want to add anything? Okay. Next question. Kentucky has ranked in the top 10 nationally in overdose deaths for many years, including a consistent appearance in the top 5. The synthetic drug epidemic has triggered a full-scale mental health crisis across America, and nowhere is this more visible than right here in Kentucky's 74th district. From fentanyl to crystal meth, these neurotoxic substances aren't just causing overdoses, they are causing long-term brain damage. We see the tragic results every day on our streets. Neighbors struggling with drug-induced psychosis, displaying clear signs of mental instability as a direct result of these devastating synthetics. Is it time for Kentucky taxpayers to invest in developing new long-term inpatient mental health psychiatric facilities to get qualified individuals off from the streets and into long-term treatment? Mr. Williams, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Addiction has torn Kentucky families apart. I mean, it's happened to probably everyone in this room. And like I said before on the last question, I think everyone needs help, and we got to help everyone. And the only way to help these people are to show them love and compassion, not by punishing them and sending them straight to jail and stuff. So we have to help them out. And then we need more, and also when it comes to the government cuts from the fraud and wasteful spending, you can invest that money into programs to help these people, like clean needle programs. We need a clean needle program here in town, and we don't have one. And I think that would help a lot of people that are fighting addiction.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Charles, your next 2 minutes.
It is absolutely time to invest in mental health facilities. As of right now, the number one crisis facing our community as well as other communities is the mental health crisis. It's driving the narcotics crisis, it's the addiction crisis, it's driving all of them. And we did away with our long-term cares almost completely in decades past. Georgia has just introduced a bill, and they're going to build a $400 and some million facility for mental health because they recognize the problems they have. We no longer have those facilities. We take them to Eastern State, they're reviewed, remedicated, put back on the street within 3 days without a support structure of any kind in place. So they immediately revert back. It's a revolving door. It is 100%. I can't emphasize that enough. It's time for us to do something with mental health. And I agree completely, it has to be done.
Mr. Denniston?
Addiction is a very bad thing. Addiction gets a hold of a lot of people, and it doesn't let go of them. I lost a sister to suicide. This topic is very important to me. I would focus initially on the education. I think it's important that people see the outcomes of people's decision making in life. And I think that it would be very important to engage our youth in so they can see the outcome of drug addiction and things of that nature. I think it's very important, just the same way I feel that it's very important that we take the youth and put them into businesses and factories and things while they're in school so they can see exactly about how the inner workings of society work and their expectations that we have of them upon graduation. But back to addiction and these different things, yes, we need more facilities. There's a lot of people that can't get help today. There's a lot of people that are totally lost and that they need these resources. But we have to make sure that the resources are used frugally and that they're not abused. I disagree with the needle program. No offense, but I believe that it's enabling more drug use. I'm adamantly opposed to needle programs. There's needles. We had a major problem here in town when needles were being pushed out to druggies, and in front of homes, people were finding needles, and it's just not a good thing to put more needles out into the public. So, very important topic, something that we certainly need to focus on, and just be frugal with our resources because they are limited.
Bobby, can I respond to that?
Yeah, can I respond to?
We'll let you respond first, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
So, I mean, we have to help people. That's the only way to get them to change. And if you don't have programs like the Clean Needle program, addicts are going to find a way to do drugs no matter what. And then if you don't have a Clean Needle program, needles get left out on the sidewalks and stuff where people walk. And that's a good way to get a disease. I think it's like Hep A or something. And it spreads more diseases. And if we have a Clean Needle program, showing them love and compassion.
You want to finish? You can.
If we have a Clean Needle program, showing them love and compassion, maybe that'll get them to change.
Mr. Charles?
Well, as I stated before, mental health is driving the addiction. We're already working with our youth. We already have the other groups in place. This is another step to this program. And do not confuse the fact that just drug use causes mental health problems. Mental health problems are driving the drug abuse problems. So those that are suffering from mental health are going into narcotics trying to self-medicate. So we need facilities. Thank you.
May I have a
Real quick?
Yeah, real quick. I just wanted to say one thing. The needles, when you increase the supply of something, you get more of it. So when you have more needles in people's hands, you're going to have them easily just roll the window down, toss the needle out, and reach into the bag and grab a new needle. So that's the data that I have seen. Drugs are readily accessible, and I'm not talking about the street drugs. I'm talking about pharmaceutical drugs. There's too many of these people that are developing these addictions. These drugs are being pushed on them by licensed professionals, and they are feeding their addictions through the street drugs. So I believe that we need to look at the pharmaceutical drugs.
All right, we're going to move on. Many residents have been extremely frustrated by having to go out of county to obtain a driver's license. As of March 2026, Kentucky has not yet fully passed a bill to allow counties to handle driver's license renewals. But a high priority measure is currently making its way through legislation. Senate Bill 7, which aims to return license renewal services to local county offices, passed the Senate on January 16, 2026 with a near unanimous 34 to 1 vote. Do you support returning to local control? Mr. Denniston, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute.
This is a very important issue. A lot of people have came to me and asked what I'm going to do about it, and I support Representative Maddox, House Bill 162, I believe is that number. There's also a Senate Bill 7 moving through that's already passed through the Senate. I don't believe there's enough time to get 162 passed, so what I advise is that we revise Senate Bill 7 in the House. And in Senate Bill 7, what mostly needs to be changed are two items. One item, Senate Bill 7 is wanting to keep these regional, I'm going to call them fraud centers. That's where these fake driver's licenses have originated. So they're wanting to keep these regional driver's license centers. I propose that we close each and every one of them and return all of those back to our county courthouses immediately. Also in Senate Bill 7, I disagree with nickel and diming the public and taxpayers and charging a $25, let's call it what it is, inconvenience fee. So that's my thoughts on that. Also, one other thing a constituent had brought to me, and she said, Shannon, have you thought about, and I had not thought about this, and I just want to give credit where credit's due, but she was talking about her son not understanding how to drive on the streets of the regional licensing centers city. Our children are comfortable driving on our own roads and streets. Thank you very much.
Mr. Williams, you're next. You got 1 minute.
We should bring it back to the counties to get our driver's license. See, a couple years ago, I was trying to get my real ID or just renew my driver's license, I think it was. Well, you had to have like 3 documents with like your permanent address on it and stuff like that. So I drove all the way to Moorhead, and I was missing like 1 document, and they were like, nope, you got to turn around and go get that document. I had to drive 40 minutes back to Mount Sterling just to get this 1 document, and I decided not to go back because it's just a big waste of time, and we need to get it back to the counties.
Mr. Charles?
I support Senate Bill 7. House Bill 162, as far as I know, didn't even make it out of committee. So Senate Bill 7 is a compromise that would keep the driver's licensing in the counties and the regional licenses in the centers, because there is a requirement that no one mentions that these systems be separated, and that's a federal statute. So we don't really have a whole lot of choice on that, If you look into the issue, you'll see what it is and why the legislators put it where it was at instead of the circuit clerks. However, I fully support bringing it back to the county level for your normal licensing and your normal ID needs.
May I have a rebuttal?
Yes, sir. Mr. Denniston?
It worked fine before we tinkered with it and we changed it. I propose we restore it. There wasn't any need to change it, in my opinion. And then also, what Mr. Williams had said about driver's licensing, it's creating a deterrent for people to properly renew their expired driver's licenses. When they hear the stories of others who've been to these regional centers, has there been a lot of people in here been to one yet? They're very inefficient. You might as well take off work the entire day when you plan to go to one of these. So it's just a major deterrent. Thank you.
Everybody else good? Okay. Kentucky's tourism industry kept its historic winning streak alive in 2025, making a fourth straight year of record growth. Building on the momentum, the state saw a fresh wave of private investment and a steady climb in visitor numbers across the most popular regions. Tourism provides a diverse range of financial benefits that stabilize and grow a county's economy. Economic benefits are small business support, job creation, tax revenue, export industry. It also helps community and infrastructure benefits like infrastructure development to meet visitor expectations. Counties often invest in better roads, parks, signage, and public spaces, which directly improve residents' standard of living. And it also helps preserve culture. Think, for example, court days, right? In the 74th district, things are different than most popular tourist regions. Tourism funding is limited. For example, Montgomery County Tourism receives only $30,000 per year from the local restaurant tax, which generates over $1.2 million in tax revenue. If elected, what would you do as the 74th district representative to help boost tourism in Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery counties? Mr. Charles, we'll start with you. You got 2 minutes.
Well, I didn't wait until an election to start. I'm the candidate that's already met with all three of the tourism directors from our district. One of the things that, and I'll get back to that, but one of the things that I'd like to propose that is each district have an earmark in Frankfurt of a $20,000 block grant for each district to be able to use, but it has to be used to promote all of the counties in that district. Now, I spoke to the leaders of the tourism in Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery, and they were all for this. As we traveled throughout the north, my wife and I, we found something that was scenic byways. And it is very simple, no cost to the local taxpayer whatsoever. They each designated a few roads in their county and called them scenic byways. And they marked them as such. And they had brochures. And my plan, or my proposal to the local tourism districts was to create these in Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery as a way that it would rotate the traffic in and out. This will be a corporate sponsorship. The signs can be made locally, the brochures can be printed locally, and we can begin. But the big thing is we have to invest in infrastructure. If anyone in here has ever saw an old picture of Pigeon Forge, it was two large roads with side roads coming off of it, with hay growing in the middle of it. They built the roads, they built the water, they built the sewer, and the town followed. As in the field of dreams, if you build it, they'll come. Now, Bath County has, and Menifee has the natural attractions. Montgomery County has the infrastructure as far as motels, restaurants, and so forth. So if we work together, we can increase tourism. And I'll give you another example. Can I finish this one?
Yes, sir.
Longbow Marina in Menifee County on 1274 is leased by the same company that has Scotts Creek Marina. Guess which one is neglected and which one is taken care of? It's Scotts Creek. So Longbow is suffering, and the tourism in that area is suffering as well. We need to look into ways to give local control more so to those communities to be able to improve their facilities.
Mr. Denniston?
Tourism is very important in the state of Kentucky. A lot of people make their living here. Powell County, Kentucky, Stanton, Kentucky specifically, just right up the road, one of our neighbors ranks number 7 in the nation right now for tourism for investors. So there's an extreme amount of growth taking place in Stanton, Kentucky. My wife and I, we owned a cabin over there. We had bought it out of foreclosure. We spent 18 months as a family restoring the beauty of this cabin to provide as a vacation spot for other families to enjoy. We accommodated as many as 80 families a year. There's a lot of people coming into Kentucky. I have a very deep perspective in tourism now, and I spend a fair amount of time in the gorge. Actually, I spend about 30 to 40 days a year in the woods camping, and many of those evenings alone, just myself inside of a tent. So tourism is very important to me. It's also a very big part of my heart. Growing up, my dad and I would go camping, and we would go to our state parks, and our state parks they need help. In front of the flower clock, in front of our state capitol, there's a plaque, and on that plaque it says Kentucky's state parks ranked #1 in the nation. Now, I'm not sure what year that plaque was fixed to that stone structure in front of that flower clock, but I can assure you that our parks are no longer #1 in the nation, and they do need attention immediately. So our state parks, as far as something else I want to mention is jobs. Job creation. Tourism brings a wealth of job creation. It brings money. It needs to bring money for infrastructure, but at the current time, those tourism dollars cannot be used for roadways and maybe for a new water line that needs to be ran somewhere. Over in Menifee and Bath County, there's an area that they're having a little squabble on that they need a water line, I believe, ran through part of the lake, and it's a developing issue. And I've met with officials in Menifee and discussed this already about what they need there. Also, the mental health aspect, to go back to it, the parks and the tourism, can I have another minute, please? Being in wilderness does so much for the mind, far more than I believe a pharmaceutical drug ever will. Being able to spend time in wilderness is something that repairs the mind, in my opinion. I spend a lot of time in wilderness. Sometimes, the world beats us down, right? And we have to get away, and sometimes the woods is where we go. So tourism is very important to me. Our state parks, I want to make them #1 in the nation so we don't have to remove that plaque. And grants, I just want to remind everyone, is just a fancy word for your money. Thank you so much.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Charles, he isn't the only one that's worked with the tourism directors. I'm not even in office, and I've met with the Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery County tourism directors individually just to talk to them, see what they need, see how I can help them if I do win. I want to be able to increase the traffic flow into our district to generate more money to our businesses. I know, for one, the Montgomery County tourism director, she told me that Parks and Rec, they get all their money from restaurant tax. And then the tourism, they get all their money from transient tax. And I've talked to her about it, and maybe we can think about switching things up to evenly distribute the money from taxes. I worked with the Bath County tourism director, and he told me a problem about the signs. They can't get the signs that they need because of the roadway. The road department, they won't let them, so I want to work to get that fixed. So I will work with the tourism directors, and we need tourism.
May I?
Go ahead.
Another issue we have that we need to concentrate on is our local parks. Our local parks are vital to each community's tourism. Sports tourism is one of the largest tourisms that we have around here. Last year, Easy Walker Park had 300 and some thousand visits. Botts Park was, I believe, 100. Exact number, I don't know. It's between 90 and 105. That is visits. These people went from those parks to restaurants, bought food, spent money. Over half of them were from out of county. That is money coming into our community.
Anybody else?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I want to go back and touch on the build it and they will come. It's a risky business. I'm a builder, and I wouldn't dare build an apartment building or something of that nature before first doing a risk assessment and making sure that there's a demand for the product I'm going to provide. Our infrastructure, our roadways, there's no telling how much of your money it takes to build just 1 mile roadway today. All the permitting and things, they probably don't have to do too much permitting because they're government, but as an individual who builds roads, say in a subdivision, for instance, you have to spend a lot of permitting dollars. So those things, I just want to be mindful of taxpayer money. You're going to hear me talk about a lot tonight about taxpayer money. One more second, please. When I met with the Menifee County's tourism director, they were sharing with me how they could use more funding, how they're doing some magnificent things on a shoestring budget. So I commend them, and I want to make note of that. Our tourism commission, I feel like we're a lot more blessed out of the 3 counties than the other 2. Thank you so much.
May I add something?
Quickly.
So I believe Mr. Charles mentioned how the park visits, because I mentioned the Parks and Rec gets all the transient tax, and I just want to say, I'm not saying one thing or the other. I'm just saying maybe we can try switching it up because we do need tourism. So.
All right, moving on. Abortion is currently illegal in Kentucky at all stages of pregnancy with very limited medical exceptions. The near total ban was enacted by House Bill 148 that went into effect following the 2022 U.S. Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. Did Kentucky Republican legislators go too far with this ban by not having exceptions for rape? And do you support the use of public funds for abortion when the pregnancy is a result of rape or incest? Mr. Williams, I'll start with you. You have 1 minute.
Here's the way I see it. I think the choice comes down to whether you think it's just a clump of cells or it's a baby, and it's a baby. It just is. You can't just kill it just because it's the easy way out. And I mean, childbirth is literally a parallel to baptism, and God said in Scripture that He knew you while you were in the womb. So we can't just kill it just because we think it's the easy way out. I mean, it's a life. It just is.
Mr. Charles.
No, I do not believe they went too far. I believe they went to the correct degree that we should. With the exception, I think that we need to make the trafficking of the abortion drug a felony in the state of Kentucky.
Mr. Denniston.
House Bill 148 is very important, but it didn't go far enough. I do not support exceptions to abortion. My wife was adopted at birth. I wouldn't have the family I have today without my wife. It's not that baby's fault, and that's a child inside that womb. I believe life begins at conception, and I'm going to do everything in my power to protect it.
Next question is a public question from Erica Royce. I'm hoping I'm saying that last name correctly. Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Can you please detail a specific bill you intend to sponsor if elected and explain how it will benefit our district? What's the measurable goal to define it as a success? Mr. Charles, you have 2 minutes.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I proposed a bill during the October meeting on making it illegal to commit the homicide of a child, cause the intentional death of a child. But now, thankfully, under Jaden's law, legislatures have picked that up. So I will not need to do that, and I do appreciate that. So with that being said, a bill that I would be to create a law that doubles the Homestead Exemption Act for our senior citizens and those that are 100% disabled, and fix their home value at the age of 65 for their primary residence to what it is, as well as adding an 80 and 90% exemption for military personnel who have been disabled.
Mr. Denniston.
There's about 3 or 4 housing bills right now in process, and I would support and co-sponsor probably at least one or more of those bills. Affordable housing is a very important issue affecting the Commonwealth today. The data shows that we need more than 200,000 new housing units built immediately in the state, with another 100,000 plus housing units that we need built within the next 5 years, I believe it is. That's 300,000 housing units. That's a tremendous amount of housing units. We better get started tonight if we're going to achieve that goal. Affordable housing. It's almost impossible to achieve that today. Part of it is due to the interest rate, and other parts due to the inflation that's taken place by the unnecessary printing of endless amounts of our currency that's devalued the current dollars in circulation. That's a big part of our problem. There's about $2 trillion or more that were printed, and it devalued all the other dollars in circulation. I'm not sure there's enough dollars in circulation today to pay off the national debt. Very concerned about that. There's other bills that are moving through. The House Bill 162 for the driver's licensing, make it convenient for folks. I would certainly sponsor that. And we can get into property taxes, I think, a little bit later, but I have with property taxes, I just want to do away with property taxes. I don't believe in penalizing people on their productivity, on their hard work, and their labor. A home is very important. They should never feel threatened that you're going to lose that home over a tax bill. There's hundreds of families in each of our communities each year that face foreclosure over not being able to pay their property tax bill. There's a lot of ways that we can get to the end goal. The people I've talked with at their doorsteps so far have said, rip the Band-Aid off and get on with it, Shannon. Don't try to phase this thing in because you might not get it done. So I'm prepared to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm very confident in my plan, and we'll talk about that in a few moments.
Mr. Williams, 2 minutes.
The only thing that I can think of right now is, so Montgomery County is in the Kentucky Transportation, or the district for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet that Montgomery County is in is competing with Lexington for the money for the roads. All the money is going to Lexington whenever our roads are in very rough shape and we need to work on our roads, and I will work hard to allocate more money to our district, or to Montgomery County alone, because Bath and Menifee, they're in a different district, so I will work hard to allocate more money to Montgomery County to fix our roads.
All right, Kentucky has over 35 data centers, and with the demand of AI, there is a surge in public concern with both the environmental impact and financial impact of these centers. House Bill 593 would dictate how data centers are able to build in the state. They could provide their own generation, buy electricity on the national open market, or make them pay upfront costs for increased generation and transmission. Do you support a bill like 593? And what else can we do to ensure these centers are located responsibly, managed, and maintained to the best of our ability? Mr. Denniston, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Data centers are a very important topic right now. We see some amazing offers for real estate, for people's farmland, I believe, that we need to protect. And the ladies up in, I believe it's Maysville, are doing a fine job up there protecting their farmland. I want to make sure that you can protect your farmland and that you're not going to get bullied off of it. We only have so much. As they say, we're not making any more of it. So data centers, if we're going to have them, and we already have data centers, the data centers need to be in industrial zones in larger cities where there's more than adequate infrastructure to provide those data centers. We're not set up, for instance, at any of our 3 industrial parks in Montgomery County for a single data center. We just don't have the infrastructure for it. The main concern I have with data centers, besides the theft of farmland, and I'm not sure it's theft, I'm sure they pay something for it, in big dollars it sounds like, but once it's gone forever, are these special sweetheart deals that our government loves to give out. These data centers, some of them cost billions of dollars and can generate millions of dollars in property taxes. But instead, governments roll out the red carpet and say you don't have to pay any property tax. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's just. I'm opposed to data centers for a lot of reasons. That's just one of many. But we do have to have data centers. If we're going to have them, they need to be in zones where we can provide that infrastructure to them. In water, the water usage is just, they use a tremendous amount of water. So back to that bill, I have not read that bill in its entirety, and I will. But it just on the surface does not sound like something I could support. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Williams, we'll go here next.
I don't know too much about data centers, but it's something I will look into and learn about. But you did mention something about AI, and I'm completely against AI because I think AI just ruins people's intellectual abilities to do anything. So,
Mr. Charles.
The bill is a good bill, limiting the way they can use electricity and to prevent it from being passed on to the consumers. But I am against data centers. You do not want them in your community. They are a huge user of the land with a very small return. Not only that, but their water consumption is astronomical. And they're trying to get it to the point where they do not have to have their wastewater retreated before it enters our streams. And that I'm totally against those. Our community cannot support them. Bath, Montgomery, Menifee, none of us have the infrastructure required, and I would rather never have one here, because once you do, that land is taken and it is no longer of use for anything else, for very few jobs and very little return on your tax dollars.
May I have a rebuttal?
Sure, go ahead, Shannon.
With Mr. Williams. Artificial intelligence is here to stay. When the internet came about, there were a lot of people that were opposed to the internet. Can anyone imagine life without the internet? The internet makes us better, and just like the internet makes us better, artificial intelligence also makes us better. And I know there's a downside that it's taken people's jobs, but I would also make the argument to that there's a lot of jobs available. And there's even going to be more jobs created because of AI. So don't be too concerned about the loss of jobs due to AI. AI is here to stay, and I do support artificial intelligence.
May I rebut?
Yes.
If it's your job, you're losing. You're concerned with AI. And the number one driver of AI is the porn industry. And I tend to agree with Aaron. And I wished I could go back to a time when we didn't have the internet, because people were kinder, they were more social, they got along better than hiding behind a keyboard and making a bunch of posts. So if I could, I would go back. Albert Einstein said all it takes for humankind to, may I finish? For all it takes for humankind to reveal its true potential is to have all the information available at its fingertips. Social media has proven that completely wrong.
Okay, we're going to move on. Public question number 3, Tim Welch, Mount Sterling, Kentucky. Should local and state law enforcement aid with ICE deportation efforts? Mr. Denniston, 1 minute.
Absolutely. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Charles?
I think that's a loaded question for me. I am an ICE agent, so I can't very well deny it, and I'll tell you why we are ICE agents. Under the 287G program, we signed up. There's 5 of us at the sheriff's office. We signed up for this program with a simple goal in mind. We'll have no Minneapolises, we'll have no LAs here. We're used to serving warrants. We know our constituents. We will go out, we will arrest them on these ICE detainers, and we will put them in jail where they belong and help ICE remove them from our country. I had people protesting the fact that we got into a mini pursuit and an arrest of a convicted child sex offender who had been deported, came back, committed another child sex offense, and when we had to arrest him, he wanted to resist, so he went the hard way. Well, I'm sorry, but if you want to protest me for doing that, I don't want your vote anyway. So there you go.
A lot of agreement on that one, huh?
Yeah, a lot of agreement. Can I have a quick rebuttal on that?
Sure, go ahead.
So I just wanted to say that the money's useful too in our local communities. You know, they get paid for this, and we need that money. So it's going to help it's going to help our sheriff's department. It's going to help police departments by having that money. I think right now it's just maybe with is it open to police? I think it's maybe just open to, is it sheriffs or the ICE that you can partner with?
Yes, it's open to all law enforcement agencies. You have to go through a rather stringent process. The money was secondary to us. We're a sheriff's office. Departments are appointed. Sheriff's officers are elected. I had an old sheriff who put me very straight very quick when I said sheriff's department, so I'm sort of sensitive to it. But the ICE money, that sounds bad, but the ICE funding that we receive will help us pay the payroll of another deputy on the street. And so that helps our entire community.
Okay. Moving on. In Kentucky, we have road and bridge issues, water and wastewater issues, dam and levee problems, hazardous waste issues, high-speed internet and utility issues, on top of 23 federally declared disasters between 2011 and 2024, which included a lot of flooding that contributed to extreme damage. Due to those issues, the American Society of Civil Engineers, known as the ASCE, who issues the widely cited infrastructure report card, gave Kentucky an overall C- grade. What is the most single important infrastructure issue in each county of the 74th District, and what is your plan to help address those issues? Mr. Williams, we'll begin with you. You have 2 minutes.
Our roads here in Montgomery County have been rough for far too long. We need safe, smooth, and well-marked roads for all drivers, especially our teens and our seniors. And like I said before, I will work hard to allocate more money to Montgomery County to fix those problems. And I'm happy to work with the people in Bath and Menifee to see what their infrastructure problems are, to see what they need, so I can work hard in Frankfort to allocate more money. And yeah, that's it.
Mr. Charles, you're next.
Well, in Montgomery County, it's obviously going to come off the top. It's going to be roads. Our roads are failing us. Nothing more obvious than the levee when it fell in. Aaron's Run has a bridge that's closed, that will be closed for the next 2 to 3 years. Van Thompson Road had a collapse that had to be repaired, and it's endemic all over our county. Our state highways are failing due to lack of maintenance and use. We are a high traffic area. So in Montgomery County, it's going to be roads. Bath County is going to be roads and flooding. I just went to a meeting last night in Salt Lick, Kentucky. When it rains, they flood, and they have a mitigation project that they can lead on that. And there's several counties that are trying to do this project that they're doing, and I think we need to fund Salt Lick area and Bath County to get their flood controls. One other thing I want to mention in Montgomery County is bridges. Our bridges on the interstate, we are now replacing them. You see me make posts about doing traffic control and be careful. There was holes coming in a bridge on the interstate that on the top side were 8 to 9 inches wide. On the bottom side, they were 4 foot that were collapsing completely through the bridge. That's why we're having to replace the bridges. That's part of the federal money that's been sent in, $6.4 billion for our federal road system in the next 6 years to 2032, I believe. Menifee County, the ones I talk to is water and sewer. They need help with their water and sewer, and I'll get into infrastructure later, but that's what they're requesting help with. Their roads, by the vast majority of them, they say are in very good shape. The ones I've seen have been. They've done a lot of projects, and it's really improved the Frenchburg and Menifee County area.
Okay. Mr. Dennis?
Infrastructure, it's a big issue. We need wider, straighter roads in Commonwealth. The roads are in really bad shape. There's at least 6 roads still in Montgomery County that just have gravel on them, and the gravel's in bad shape. We are not even maintaining these folks' roads. You all know which roads I'm talking about because some of you live on them. And you're paying the full rate of taxes. When you look at your tax bill, there's a line item on there that says county, and it goes to your fiscal court, and the fiscal court is in charge of blacktopping or at least maintaining those roads where you live in. Unless you're in the city, then I guess it would go, the city money would be used for the city streets. But it's very important that it's 2026. I think you deserve blacktop on your road. And I think that we need to put some emphasis into that to get that done. At the very least, I think it would be a great initiative to start by filling in those potholes with gravel on those gravel roadways. But Montgomery County is not the only one. We do have another problem of flooding in our downtown district. Actually, our city or county one, either one, had received some money, several $100,000 from our Corps of Engineers once upon a time. And when I asked why wasn't the problem addressed, why wasn't it fixed, why we keep coming back to the problem, I was told that money it vaporized. They studied the issue, and they didn't have enough money left after they spent the money studying the issue. That's how government operates today, and that's part of what I'm going to fix. But the Corps of Engineers need to look at the flooding issues. The city of Frenchburg, when I met with the mayor of Frenchburg, expressed a need for street lights. I mean, I think that's another necessity. I think if you live in a city, that you deserve to have street lights, and they already have infrastructure. They've already ran the wiring inside the conduit, I believe, and they just need the posts at this point, so they need some help there. And then also the water line issue over around the lake.
Can I?
Mr. Charles.
I'd just like to ask, are you in favor of using public dollars for private property?
Public dollars for private property. I think where you're going with this is some of those roads are still considered private roads. Is that
Those roads you discussed being gravel, they're owned by the people who live there. They never were brought up to standards by the developers who left the people hanging. So do you support going in and using public dollars to fix private property?
What I support is talking with the residents of those roads to see if they would like to donate those roads. That's the proper process, is to donate a road to the local jurisdiction. I'm going to give you an example why developers can't always repair the roads after they put in a development. Spruce Valley Lane is one such example. Both of those developers blew their brains out. They committed suicide. There are no more developers. Developers can't come out of the grave and fix the roads, you know, so that's a problem. Do we want to see that problem be a problem forever? Or do we want to step up and do the right thing and make sure these folks have roads they can drive on?
Mr. Williams, anything you want to add? No? Okay. Continuing on with infrastructure. Do state taxpayers need to invest more in infrastructure than the billions that are already being funded? If so, how do we achieve that funding increase? Mr. Charles, you have 90 seconds.
I don't know of a way we can increase the funding for our roads that we haven't already done without cutting other services. That's the only answer we have. I'm completely against raising any taxes for this. Our road funds, we already receive about $750 million a year from the gasoline tax, which is divided up. The counties only receive 18.8%, cities receive 7.7%. The rural and secondary road program gets part of that, and then the state has the rest of it. There is no way that we can do this without cutting other services and cutting waste out of government. Wherever we find it, it has to be attacked. But I'm completely against raising taxes to do this, to fund this.
Mr. Denniston, you're next.
You guys already know I'm against raising taxes, so I'm against raising taxes to improve the roads. What I believe we need to do is we need to ensure that electric vehicles pay their fair share. Right now they pay a flat fee to drive on our roadways. They may be putting, I was on a Tesla group the other day because I'm intrigued by those vehicles. I'm still watching them. They're not quite at the level where I'm comfortable to own one yet, but I'm getting there. And they are the wave of the future, electric vehicles, whether we like it or not. But the electric vehicles, I believe they need to pay their fair share, and the way we're going to ensure that is I have a plan that does not require us to cut any services whatsoever. We need to convert to a mileage-based plan for our roadways. So the more miles you drive on the roadways, the more you should pay for your fair share and fair use of those roadways. That needs to be a equation that is compiled of multiple variables, and those variables need to be the GVWR, gross vehicle weight of the vehicle, the axle count, and then the miles driven. Now you're probably thinking, well, what about if I take my kids to Florida and I want to drive to Florida? Why do I have to pay taxes on those or pay a mileage fee per mile because I drove outside of the state? And to that I say, we can deduct those miles. Just bring it in. Just report that odometer on January 1. Take another picture of it December 31st. We can create a system where we can monitor this. If you take a trip out of state, take a picture of that monitor before that, or of your odometer before that trip, before you start out, and then when you return back home. We could even have a website where you could upload those pictures and do some reporting and have some audits on that to ensure safety.
Mr. Williams.
So, could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Do state taxpayers need to invest?
Oh, yes. So I'm completely against raising taxes. I think we need to cut wasteful government spending, and that's how we get more money. But I want to respond to Shannon's point about electric cars being the way of the future. You can keep electric cars, you can drive them all you want, but don't bring them to me because I'm not driving one.
Bobby,
Go ahead.
I just want to ask one question. You're proposing a tax for every mile I drive.
Not a tax, a per mileage fee.
A fee is a tax. If I have to pay it, it's a tax for every time I drive. It's if I drive a mile, I have to pay, I didn't hear an amount. So if that's what you're proposing, a fee/tax, that's just what I was asking, because I couldn't be against it.
It would replace the fuel tax, I want to clarify.
It would replace?
It would replace fully the fuel tax, sorry, I should have clarified that.
So, all right.
All right. Public question number.
Okay, well, 1 second, can I have a rebuttal?
Sure, 30 seconds.
Okay, sure, thank you very much. I founded a company called Kentucky Wi-Fi. Many of you are customers. It's grown into a fairly large company, and I created that company because I didn't want to wait for broadband to show up on my doorstep and the farming doorsteps around the farm where I resided. So I created that company. People said I'd never be able to compete with the big companies. I did compete. I was successful with it. Did not make any money. When I sold it, I got my money back. So I broke even on that after a multi-year ownership of the company. And that's just one example. I disagree with the millions of dollars that the government has wasted and continues to waste on bringing broadband to people. We have Starlink today. Why don't we get on the phone with Mr. Musk, and why don't we negotiate a super sweetheart deal to bring Starlink instead of spending $10,000+ to bring broadband to each person's doorstep?
Anybody else want to rebuttal? Okay. Public question number 4. As many of us know, in Montgomery County, the landfill expansion has been a hot and divisive topic in this county. Michelle Rowland of Montgomery County wants to know, if elected, what is the first concrete action you could or would take regarding the landfill oversight or expansion decisions in the state? Mr. Williams, I'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
I do not support the landfill expansion. It already smells awful out there, and we don't need it going anymore. We don't need that smell expanding. And if people want to come and dump their trash on us, tell them to dump it on their own land.
That's right.
Mr. Charles.
I assume the question she's trying to ask is what legislation would we propose?
Yes, what first concrete action or legislation would you propose regarding the landfill oversight and expansion decisions in the state?
Well, it would have to, well, first of all, landfills are like strip mines. You do not want them around you. Once you have one, you're stuck with one. When they leave, they're not taking the landfill with them, and they do not take the strip mine with them. And as far as that matter, I dump data centers in with them as well. It's going to have to be stricter regulated, and I don't know how we can do that. I'm not a fan of regulations, but I would immediately get with the Division of Air and Water and ask their expert opinions on how we could better control these. Just because you win an election does not make you an expert in all matters. And I bow down to someone else's expertise so I could ask that question and get a good answer for it before I proposed anything. As of right now, the statute is our county leaders will take care of that decision because it is statutorily within their jurisdiction. And I would not be interfering with them right now. I know the process that they're in, and I know the negotiations that are ongoing. So I'm not for an expansion of a landfill. I'm not for a landfill, period. I wouldn't have been for it to begin with. If the county had voted wiser on its land usage regulations, we wouldn't have had one. I believe in the outdoors, and I just don't want to be around one to in my community. But now we have one, and it's not going anywhere.
Mr. Denniston?
We've been an excellent host for a number of years to Rumpke's landfill. We've granted them multiple expansions over these years. I believe it's time to start winding down the days of Rumpke's landfill in Montgomery County. The daily tonnage we allowed them to start out with was just a tiny fraction of their current daily tonnage. Their current daily tonnage is up to, I believe it's around 1,000+ tons per day. They've asked for an increase in tonnage every year if we grant them an expansion. They're so sure that they're going to get their permit renewed, and they're so sure that they're going to get this expansion granted that they've already purchased more than 1,000 acres. They have a 90-acre site currently where the landfill where your trash is going. But it's not just your trash. Lexington brings their trash in, Boyle County, Danville. There's a lot of counties, 57. They're wanting to take it to 59 counties. I think we should limit it to Montgomery County. It's our Montgomery County landfill, right? And the counties that are adjacent, those counties that touch Montgomery County, should certainly have a right to bring their trash in here. As far as how can we do better and monitor the odor, I actually do know how we can do better. The device that's currently being used to detect odor is something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. It's laughable. It's a device that looks, basically you affix it, a person shows up at the property where the odor is detected, and you attach this device to your nose. And before you do that, you take a few good whiffs, and then you attach this device, and it has a carbon filtration unit in it. And when you pull the air through, it cleans it so it gives you a good clean smell, right? And it has a valve on the side of it. And you open that valve up, and it allows the smell to come in through this device so you can detect an odor if there is one. So it gives you a baseline, the baseline being, neutral, no smell. You're taking these breaths in through your nose, breathing in through your nose rather, and then you open the valve to see if there's a difference. I believe we need a better device. That device is up to the person, right? I mean, what if the person is sick that day? What if they are congested? What if they're not able to detect and they're sent out? And they have to go out pretty quickly. It's just not a good system. Thank you very much. Also, one more quick thing, if I can have one more second. Is the fiscal court going to do the right thing in here? Why has our fiscal court not taken a position on this yet? Why has the gentleman beside me not taken an official position on it until tonight? And I don't say that in a derogatory way.
Don't worry, I'll respond.
I was the first candidate in this race to take a position on the landfill, and I said no to expansion. I'm not saying close it down now, although the conversation is switched to that direction. I say let's limit the daily tonnage and expand the lifetime of it without allowing more trash to come in. Thank you.
I do.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll let you
Go
go.
ahead.
Okay. Well, just because you didn't read it on Facebook doesn't mean I didn't take a position. And don't believe everything that people tell you, because I told one lady 3 times what my position was. My position was plain. I talked to Senator Elkins, who is, to me, is an expert in landfills. If Rumpke leaves tomorrow, they're not going to take that landfill with them. It's not going to be in their back pocket. We're stuck with it. Like it, lump it, we're stuck with it. So we have to control them. But as far as everyone wanting to take a public position like you, or me, or Aaron, our elected leaders in county government are the ones responsible for this decision. And trying to bully them or anything else, instead, go talk to them, ask them what they're doing. I have seen their negotiations. I'm required to sit in each and every one of those meetings as sheriff and see what's going on as security, and I listen to them. And the people in here, your suggestions are not going to be near as strict as what the county has already demanded. And no one negotiates in the public. I mean, listen to President Trump. You don't go announce what you want before you ask for it.
All right, Mr. Williams.
I'll move on. He spoke enough to take up my time too. So.
If you want something to say, go ahead.
Hey, Aaron.
Okay.
Sorry, Aaron.
Kentucky Republican legislators have passed sweeping transgender laws in Kentucky, overriding Governor Beshear's vetoes to implement those laws. The ACLU attempted to overturn the ban on tax dollars being spent on gender reassignment surgeries for prison inmates, but was unsuccessful in court. Do you support the current law that bans using tax dollars to pay for these surgeries through Medicaid, and will you continue to support the Republican Party efforts to keep biological males out of women's bathrooms, sports, locker rooms, and everything else? Yes or no? If no, why? Mr. Williams, you have 30 seconds.
So God created us differently for a reason, male and female. And you can't just switch just because you want to. And so I think we need to protect women, women's spaces, women's sports. It's not fair, and it's not fair at all. And transgenders, you can do what you want, but just don't bring it on us and just stay out of the women's sports. I'm all for protecting the women because they have more muscle mass, bigger bone density. Go ahead.
Would you like my time, Aaron? I took yours a while ago.
No.
Okay. Mr. Charles.
Gender identity disorder is a mental disease. They should not be in our sports. They should not be in our locker rooms. Each gender was created. The chromosomes, God has made us this way. We need to be that way. I totally oppose any public funds being used for gender reassignment. In 2014, I was in a class. The instructor we were going over crimes that were committed by people that were sociopaths and so forth. The instructor noted at the time that the DSM-5 or 15 or 5 had removed gender identity disorder from the list of diseases and replaced it with dysphoria. The working group that was responsible for this in 2013's primary directive was to make it so that gender reassignment surgeries would be covered by insurance. And this was commissioned by the American Psychiatric Association, and it's just a fraud that's put upon our country.
Mr. Denniston?
No, taxpayer dollars should not be used for gender mutilation. You're born male or you're born female. That's what you are. If you don't know, go have someone take a look and they'll tell you. Boys don't belong in girls' bathrooms, and girls don't belong in boys' bathrooms. And I don't believe in a bathroom where there can be, just use it however you want, and everybody come in, use it at the same time. I don't agree with that. I think that we have genders for a reason, and there's only two genders.
Can I add something?
Sure, go ahead, Aaron.
So Dave brought up a fair point about gender dysphoria, and I didn't think about this, but gender dysphoria is a mental disorder. And let's say someone is anorexic. Do you continue to tell them to not eat? Or if they're bulimic, do you continue to tell them to not or to throw up? No. And if you have gender dysphoria, you don't continue to tell them, oh, you can change your gender. No, you tell them, hey, there's something going on. You're the way God made you. And yeah.
All right.
Rebuttal on that. I just want to thank Mr. Williams for that response, actually.
Public question number 5. This comes from Jason Perry. He was born in Menifee County, has lived in Montgomery, and now resides in Bath County. Can each of you please explain what you have done in the community outside of work-related things that hasn't personally benefited you, but has in fact benefited the community? Mr. Charles, we'll start with you. You have 1 minute.
Oh, I can't do it in a minute, but I'll try.
Please try.
I have been on Parks and Rec, served for 20 years there. I'm proud of that service. When I left, the parks were in the best financial shape that they had been in. We were able to restructure all of our debts and be able to provide the aquatic center that we have now with the bonding that we had raised. I've been a coach in youth sports for almost 20 years. I've coached everything from 8 and unders to college goat ball. I've been a Boy Scout leader. I serve as the chair of ADAPT. And I can keep going, but I know you're about to ring that bell.
I am.
Yeah.
All right.
Clarence going to get his wings from you tonight. So.
Mr. Denniston.
I fought with each of you to stop these property taxes from getting so daggone high. For the about past 20 years, I've been showing up at meetings like this. I'm the only person on the stage tonight that has stood and fought alongside each and everyone that has been attending these meetings for that length of time. And some of those meetings had hundreds of people in attendance that would otherwise never have even showed up to those meetings if I had not started it. And we've gotten progressive results from those attendants at those meetings and from the testimonials that were given. One meeting comes to mind in this very room. Actually, a lot of the meetings come to mind in this very room, having to do with the school board. This is where they meet. And at one of those meetings, there were 17 people that came and spoke in opposition. And I believe I was the youngest in that 17. Most of these people, almost all of them actually, were on fixed incomes. And they couldn't pay anymore. So that was something I'm very passionate about, was just making sure that we don't have wrongful taxation. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
I have nothing to say, so.
Okay. Our youth are the future of our communities, and I wanted to make sure that they were represented well here this evening. I would like to welcome to the podium a young lady who was within the last year completed the Harvard Ventures Tech Summer Program, an entrepreneurial program focused on connecting diverse individuals and equipping them with the essential skills to become future business leaders. This included a 5-week internship with Touchpoint Legal, an AI legal program founded by a Harvard graduate. She also met with CEOs like Mark Cuban and Josh Silverman. Building on her passion for business from FBLA, she became the first in her chapter to complete the Business Achievement Awards capstone project with Small Business Spotlight. Each week, she shared stories of local businesses to encourage support over corporate giants. Through FBLA, she competed in regional, state, and nationals. She also served as a supporting officer at both the Kentucky United Nations Assembly and Kentucky Youth Assembly. Additionally, she received a certificate of congressional recognition from Congressman Andy Barr. Her plans are to double major in business and political science before going to law school. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next question, please welcome Montgomery County's own Macy Harris.
Thank you so much, Bobby. My question for you gentlemen are, what policies or programs would you support to cultivate leadership among teenagers in the 74th District and ensure young people are equipped to become informed, responsible leaders in the future? Mr. Denniston, we will start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Miss Macy Harris. Harvard is a very big deal, and I know your parents are extremely proud of you because we've spoken numerous times about it. I want to thank you first and foremost for inviting me to be a part of your Spotlight program. It meant a lot to me, and it was an honor to be able to participate and help you and the others in that program. And FBLA, I hold a very dear part in my heart for FBLA. DECA was number 1, but FBLA was number 2. And I'm up here, I just want to say that, from the podium because FBLA is very important. So what I would do is very simple. I would invite the youth out for work participation. I would bring them into our factories. I would bring them into the fiscal court. I would bring them into the other offices in our courthouse. I would bring them into restaurants and different businesses in the community where they're going to be working after graduation to properly set this expectation of what's expected of them after graduation. So I think that it's very important that we involve our youth and not just we bring them out of the schools into these places, but we as business leaders need to go into the schools. And when I was in school, in high school, one time we had a gentleman, I just recall one time we ever had a business-minded person. I believe he was a loan officer. I'm not even sure he was a business owner. But it would have been very helpful if we had business owners, entrepreneurs, come into the schools and share with them what an entrepreneur is, a job creator. I believe we need more entrepreneurs right now, more than ever, so we can have more jobs created to drive up the wages. You're not making enough money to pay your bills, and I know it. I've talked to enough people, and it's hard. It's hard on all of us. It's hard on everybody. There's just not enough dollars left over at the end of the month. So I think we need to properly structure these expectations. You should not graduate high school and think you're going to make $20 an hour just to show up to a job site. You better come ready to work. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about that, but the point of this job is to be a representative of the people. And that's what I will do. I will if you're still around, or if your mother is still around in this district, I will represent you all, and I'll be happy to work with you all whenever to get things done in Frankfort. So,
Mr. Charles.
Proud of you, sweetheart. You've grown so much. It seemed odd watching you walk up there. I don't know where Wes is tonight. I imagine working. What I would do is create programs such as the Leadership Montgomery County in a Youth Edition so that you could go out, visit the factories in an organized manner, businesses, and learn how business works and how people interact in our community. I'm also proposing that in another question or topic that we're going to have is micro business centers, where your leadership groups can start your entrepreneur system with micro business centers and work and create your small business to get going. Training leaders is hard, and it takes from day one a commitment from both your instructors and the students. And I believe that someone like you would benefit greatly from that, hon. Sorry.
Can I have a minute on that?
Sure, go ahead, Shannon.
Just touch on what Mr. Charles said. We've heard of those as business incubators. There's one in Lexington called Awesome Inc. that does a great job. I think could be a role model in this area. Lexington is not too far away. Maybe we keep those as like regional business incubator locations. But I think Eastern Kentucky could also benefit from one of those business incubators. And there's a lot of businesses being created in these. A lot of the services are provided free of charge. They have pool tables and arcade games and things that you can, in between meetings, stuff that people of younger age kind of are, they enjoy going to these places is what I'm trying to say. And while they're there, they're learning about business and how to build their businesses.
Continuing on with education. Following the statewide rejection of Amendment 2, the conversation has shifted from school choice to the urgent needs of our common schools. From teacher vacancy issues to the implementation of new cell phone bans and the persistent proficiency gaps in our rural elementary schools, upcoming decisions will shape the future of Kentucky for a generation. Kentucky currently ranks 48th in the nation for average starting teacher pay at approximately $40,161, and 42nd in the nation for overall average teacher salary at $58,325. Schools are facing these challenges. These are just a few. Funding challenges when state funding has not kept up with inflation, teacher pay, teacher and staff shortages. 80% of Kentucky districts began the 2025-2026 school year with unfilled positions totaling over 2,400 vacancies statewide. Facility upkeep and upgrade challenges, transportation funding. The state is legally supposed to fund 100% of the costs, but historically has not. How will you, as a legislator, help advocate for our public schools as they face those challenges? Mr. Charles, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, we have to bring that up because currently our schools are being funded on a 2008 level. It's 2026. The starting pay for a teacher in Menifee is $39,000. That requires a 4-year degree. That's not going to cut it, folks. Montgomery County is slightly better at 43. Bath County falls in between them. Every year we lose people left and right. A program is working in Menifee County right now, but it's not working well. It's called Teachers Across America. And one of the biggest complaints is they bring the teachers in and they bring the inner city ideas with them. And that's something we want control of on a local level, and we have to have that. So we have to bring the funding up to meet current level needs and quit trying to make our school boards and our administrators make bricks without hay. We have to give them something to work with. Now, I do believe that we have to do some other things as well. And this education issue is I believe that every school should be audited every other year by the state auditor's office. I go through 2 audits from the state auditor office each year. There are forensic audits that account for every dime and every spending practice. And we've seen what's happening in Jefferson and Fayette counties. And we want to make sure it's not happening anywhere else, and we need to hold those accountable that are doing it. And I believe that will free up some of our funding as well for our teachers and our staff. I don't just count teacher, I count all staff, be it the cooks, be it the bus drivers, the janitors. They're all vitally important. You take one away, the whole system collapses.
Mr. Denniston.
I support school choice. I believe that your tax dollars should follow the child to their parents' school of choice, including a home school. In Kentucky, we spend about $20,000 per year to educate a child, $20,000 per year to educate one child. In the country of China, their kids are pretty smart. They spend $5,000 a year. I know that homeschools in Kentucky, you can homeschool your child for about $500 to $1,500 per year. I know that in non-government schools, we have one in our community, you can educate your child. Both of my children started there. I'm talking about CTS, otherwise known as Christian Traditional School. And the tuition there is about $2,800 to $3,800 per year, so a little less than $4,000 per year. I would argue that our home schools and our non-government schools are providing not just a higher quality of life. They don't have to deal with a guy walking into the girls' restroom, for instance. But also, it strengthens that family unit, and we need to focus on that. Families are being torn apart. There's a lot of single-parent families. We need to make sure that at least one parent in these 2-parent family units can be at home with their children. And by offering maybe vouchers We could, if you want to homeschool your child, maybe we give you a $5,000 or a $10,000 per year voucher. It's going to save taxpayers $10,000 to $15,000 for each voucher that gets utilized. It's going to help us strengthen those family units, which is good for society. Also, we need to redirect the money from the bloated administration that's in our schools. That's where a lot of the money's going, and in my opinion, being misspent there. We need to redirect those funds over to the classroom to make sure teachers don't have to come out of pocket to purchase the items that they need in their classrooms. It's never sat right with me that teachers have to spend this enormous amount of money on their classroom. That's what these dollars should be utilized for. Also, that's okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, a few seconds.
It's okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
I think teachers work tremendously hard, and we need to do a better job supporting them and helping them raise their salary, or helping raise their salary. I support the vouchers and stuff, but like, I also support public schools, but we have to get the wokeness out of public schools. And if we don't get the wokeness out of public schools, then I support the vouchers too.
That's it.
All right, taxpayers.
Can I say one thing
sure,
on
go
that?
ahead. 30 seconds.
There's still some DEI going around. We need to make sure we get DEI out of there too. So just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Good, okay. Taxpayers are investing record amounts into education, yet test scores remain a concern. What structural changes do you propose to bridge the gap between classroom spending and student achievement? Mr. Denniston, you're first. You have 2 minutes.
Classroom spending. Well, I think performance-based models work very well. You know, paying people to do things tends to get the job done. So maybe we pay for good grades. Maybe we pay these children a little bit of money. I'm not talking about a lot of money, but maybe we incentivize good grades, financially. $20 or $50 goes a very long way for a child. I know I have two I've raised. And so I think that we could use a little bit of money there to create this incentive. And at the end of the day, it's going to pay great dividends, because I believe we all can agree that we want smart children. We want our workforce to be educated and ready to show up for work and help get that job accomplished. So I think that would be very important to incentivize that, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
I do not know too much about this issue, but I would be happy to look into it and learn more about it.
Mr. Charles.
I think we're going to have to look at the way we're testing and how we're teaching to the test. I think we need to start researching these better. We adopted a system many years ago that set us way back, and we are still trying to climb out of that. I think the way that they are tested as far as what is considered passing, I recently saw where we were considered passing with 40% proficiency. Well, I'm a proud graduate of public education, Bath County High, class of '83. And my teachers, the worst teacher I had was awesome. They all cared, they all worked, and they educated us. But I did learn this as well. 40% is failing anywhere else. How does this become passing for a school? So we need to look at the way that we are administering these tests, how we're teaching to the test. When they created the Department of Education, we were ranked like 4th in the world. We have a Department of Education, and now we're 24th, 25th. Obviously, it's not working. We need to find what is and work it. Other states have solved this problem, and we can, by emulating them and researching what they did, we can fix it.
Mr. Denniston.
Test scores don't match graduation rates. As Mr. Charles said, 40% proficiency. Well, Montgomery County, I believe the graduation rate's 93%. 40% doesn't equate to 93%. So what that tells me is that we are prematurely allowing children to graduate. Teaching to the test certainly is a real issue and must be addressed. But if you have a 40% proficiency, I don't think it's fair or reasonable that you should be graduating. Maybe we should hold more children back than we do. I know that's probably not what you want to hear, but it's what you need to hear. Thank you.
I just want to add for public something to think about. They're correct. Kentucky has one of the highest graduation rates in America, in the top 10. But we do historically, for some reason, rank at the bottom level, 30s, 20s, sometimes even lower, in education. So something to think about there. Why is that happening? I just wanted to add that. Something that really baffles me personally. All right, next question. Public question number 6, Joey Bates, Montgomery County. Currently, permanently disabled veterans in Kentucky are still required to pay property taxes. While more than 20 other states provide full exemptions, additionally, roughly half of the U.S. states have eliminated state income tax on military retirement benefits. If elected, what specific actions would you take to pursue similar tax relief for Kentucky veterans, and how would you propose offsetting the resulting loss in state or local revenue? Mr. Williams, we will start with you. You have 2 minutes.
It all starts with cutting wasteful government spending. I mean, that's how prices skyrocket and taxes and everything. And once you cut that, then you'll start to see prices go down. So I think cutting wasteful government spending would be a start.
Mr. Charles.
There's approximately 18,000 veterans in our state that would qualify under the 60% and above. As I stated earlier, I believe that those veterans that are 80 and 90% disabled deserve the Homestead Exemption Act as well. They already qualify for the 100% Homestead Exemption Act, and that money would be negligible compared to spread statewide for that many people.
Mr. Denniston.
I want to end property tax for everyone. And I want to end it for all items, not just your home, your farm, your business, your personal tangible property. Let's say this was a business and this is my desk. The government requires me to pay them annually on the use of this desk that I've already used after tax dollars to purchase. Same thing with my computer or the chair that you sit in to make your dollars to pay the taxes. I want to end these property taxes for everyone, for all items, and I want to be crystal clear. When I say items, I mean your vehicles too, your boats, your aircraft, your RVs, all the things that have a property attached to them today. Are there going to be more questions related to property tax, Bobby, that we can get into?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So another thing that we need to do, and we need to do immediately as soon as possible while we're discussing some other items of business, is we need to implement automatic homestead exemption applications, meaning the burden should not be on Mr. Bates to have to report his disability. The government already knows he's disabled. The burden should not be on any of you to have to visit your PBA or reach out to government to let them know that you've reached the age to qualify for your homestead exemption. I don't know why that has not already been implemented. It just blows my mind. It's so simple. Why do we make the lives of taxpayers so difficult when we can make them so much better?
Does anybody want to, Mr. Charles?
I do. I agree with the automatic 65. However, there's a reason why disabilities aren't related, and that's a federal law that prohibits anyone from sharing their medical information, and I strongly support that law. I don't want everybody knowing my medical conditions.
Okay. The big topic. In this race for the 74th District House seat, one topic seems to be dominating social media. The topic is property taxes. Deeply rooted in our state's history, property taxes stand as the only form of taxation explicitly mandated by the Kentucky Constitution. Advocates for ending property taxes argue that the current system undermines fundamental property rights and disproportionately burdens those on fixed incomes. Critics believe that property taxes are the financial backbone of local governments, providing roughly 75% of local tax revenue. Critics warn that eliminating them would jeopardize public schools, emergency service, and infrastructure. Approximately $4.9 billion is collected in Kentucky annually, that's billion, not million, from property taxes, with the majority of that revenue being generated by real property. Can we end property taxes in Kentucky without jeopardizing local and city and county governments' ability to function effectively? Yes or no? If yes, how? If no, why? Mr. Denniston, we will start with you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. So property taxes, I have a really simple plan. I just want to rip the Band-Aid off, get on with it, switch it over to a consumption-based model. And what I mean by that is an increase to our state income or our state sales tax. So we would have to go from 6% to 9 or 10%. The reason I say 9 or 10% is I want to make sure that all these public services are funded at the levels they're accustomed to, their current existing levels, and under my plan, they even get a little bonus. Kentucky's growing. The sales tax base is growing. It's growing. And a part of this is from tourism dollars coming into the state. And those dollars need to be taxed. You shouldn't be taxed on your home. You shouldn't have to rent your home from government. You shouldn't have to rent your car that you use to drive to your employment to make the dollars to pay your government. I believe it's immoral. It's a principal issue for me. It's also a Donald J. Trump initiative to end property tax. The great governor of the state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, also wants to end property tax and is already starting to do that. There's at least 7 other states that are talking about it. I want to make sure Kentucky gets it done first. Couple that with no state income tax in Kentucky. Can you imagine how lucrative of a state Kentucky will be without a property tax and without an income tax, and to be the first state to do away with both? Can you imagine the magnificent homes and the details of these homes that will be built? Take a walk through any downtown and you'll see the architecture of these homes. It's vastly different than the crayon box style homes that are being built today. Property taxes were a lot lower in the days of the past. Property taxes, I'll have to speed up. I was told to slow down, so I'm going to speed up here. But property taxes are immoral. Property taxes are a deterrent for owning a home. They're a deterrent for improving your home. They're a deterrent for adding on to your home. If you have a growing family, it presents another burden. I don't think you should be faced with a foreclosure motion and ever lose your home to government through a property tax. There's a lot more I can say. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Denniston's plan sounds really nice in theory, but if we were to cut property taxes right now, taxes on everything else would skyrocket. I think we should have less taxes, but if we want less taxes, it starts with cutting government spending.
Mr. Charles.
I'm gonna need more time. I'm giving you the warning. Currently, you pay approximately $830 million a year into your state property tax. That's just for your home property. Your vehicles take in another $649 million a year. Now, this is going to be simple math, so I'm going to break it down. My answer is no, but that's $1.4 billion. Each year we take in $5.8 billion in sales tax in Kentucky. That is roughly 20% of what we take in. Now, your tax bill for your property is roughly 10% going to the state. There is no way that our economy could have a tax raise that monumental without crushing everyone, every business, everyone. You wouldn't have to worry about what kind of house you had because you couldn't afford it. We're talking about tax rates that are unheard of in history. And that's simple math. The $4.9 billion, and we're only raising 5.8 to begin with, and that's not including your schools and your cities. That will bankrupt us, so no. So the little 4% raise that keeps being said for your vehicles and everything else, you'd better stretch your fingers all the way back to the back of the room, because that's how big the raise will actually be. And it will crush our government and our people. And we cannot have that just to transfer taxes from a class of people who own properties, a bunch of properties, to the ones who only have a single house. Because somebody has to make up that property tax that's not being paid on the factories, it's not being paid on all the data centers and everything else, or the people who own 150 or 200 properties. They're getting by, or the retail centers like Lowe's and Walmart that are not paying that property tax. Now it's on your shoulders, and that's where those numbers will come from. I've talked to leadership, I've talked to the experts that are on property taxes. there is no way this is going to pass the House. It's a pipe dream. It's totally unreasonable, and it will crush our people.
Would you like to?
I might need some extra time too, Bobby.
I knew this subject would, so let's get on with it.
All right, let's get on with it. Rip that Band-Aid off. So there's a lot of other savings when we eliminate the property tax in the state of Kentucky. And I've studied this issue in depth. I'm so confident that we can get it done that I put it on my signs. And I've made it the #1 plank of my platform. And the only people that have yet to get behind it and support it, which is the minority, a very small minority at this point, are people that don't understand it. Initially, when I decided to run for this position, a lot of people did not understand it. I had a tremendous amount of opposition to the idea. But then when President Trump and Governor DeSantis and those 7 states started talking about it and started putting forth their ideals on how they're going to accomplish it, people started warming up to it. So I'm not going to get into all the details of the plan, but there's 2 huge savings when we eliminate the property tax. We already have cash registers. We already have the sales tax system where we collect the sales taxes. When we eliminate all property tax, and the reason that I've decided to just go for all property tax instead of just the property tax, say, on your personal residence, or try to further divide society, like Mr. Charles had proposed by eliminating it for one class but not for all. We have enough division. We don't need any more division. We need unity now. I'm a unifier. I want to get everybody together on this, across party. It doesn't matter which party you're in, and there's a lot more parties than just 2. But there's 2 significant savings. At the top of the list is the elimination of PVA offices. That alone is a $70 million per year savings in the Commonwealth by eliminating our PVA offices. Now, I understand, I'm not going to go into too much depth on that. I understand that's a personal issue for people who work in a PVA office. But it's a $70 million savings. I'm very respectful of our PVAs. You're going to be hearing from some PVAs soon online where I'm doing a video series where I sit down with them and we go through the numbers. And they're going to share their thoughts and their opinions. And some of them like it, and some of them just don't like it. But you're going to hear from the PVAs themselves on how this plan is viable and why it's viable and why it's needed. Another savings that it's going to save, and I'm not sure if you're going to like this one or not, I think you will, is it's going to save $40 million of taxpayer money going into the sheriff's offices, to operate the sheriff's offices, the tax collection part. You may or may not know that our SPGEs, that's a fancy acronym for Special Purpose Government Entities. For instance, our school, fiscal court, the county line on your property tax bill, the fire, the EMS, the health department, ambulance, extension district. I can go on and on. There's some counties have more than others, some have less than others. But those different, when the sheriff collects the taxes for those different entities, the sheriff is paid a fee to collect those taxes. And for a school, for instance, which is about probably 60 to 72% of your tax bill, that number's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars just in our one county alone. What the part of the plan I think you might appreciate, or I hope you do, is that it's and you're still going to get funding for your office, okay, and for the deputies.
It's not going to be my office.
Okay, well, Mr. Parker's office. I'm sorry. And you know, the funding that's going to go there, it's still going to get funded. It's going to free up your time to be able to serve more documents. It's going to free up your time to protect the courthouses and do the other duties of the office.
Mr.
Do more law
Williams.
enforcement. Thank you. Sorry.
Mr. Denniston, you're a realtor. If property tax ended today, do you vow in front of everybody to lower your rent prices?
No. And here's why. All right.
Go ahead, 30
go ahead.
seconds though. I gotta give Mr. Charles a chance.
I'm running a campaign of integrity and honesty, and I'm not going to lie. So no. The reason is because it's impossible. Do you want more homelessness or do you want less homelessness? Let me give you an example. Montgomery County is full of what used to be $80,000 FHA cookie cutter style houses. They're all over. Lots of subdivisions here that have 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes that were $80,000. You could buy them all day long for many years. And then the government manipulated the market, and those homes now sell for about $225,000. You don't have to be a realtor, by the way, Aaron, to provide housing to others. Okay, but the thing I'm trying to say here is the rents are based on the value of the real estate. The problem we have right now are rents, and I'm sorry, Bobby, I've got to explain this.
We got to keep moving.
The value of the rents are depressed already. Everybody that rents is in a pressure cooker. It's a ticking time bomb. I'm going to have to speed up and talk faster, I guess. What's going on are these $80,000 houses that are $225,000 a day. Take 1% of each of those numbers. Those $80,000 houses rented for $800 a month. They have to rent for $2,250 a month. But people here can't afford that. You can't afford it even in Lexington for that home. So that's the problem that we're faced with. A lot of housing providers today are upside down. Our banker just told us that we have to more than double our rents. More than double our rents. Am I going to double the rents? No, I'm not going to double the rents. But what that does, when we eliminate a property tax, is it's going to take some of that pressure out of that pressure cooker so people can stay in their homes.
Mr. Charles, I'm going to give you 4 minutes. You got 4 minutes.
All right, there's a lot to unpack here. Shannon is correct. There are several other states have looked at this issue. None have followed through. The closest one, the great Governor DeSantis. Guess what they did? They eliminated property tax on your primary residence for full-time residents that are 65 and older, which I proposed just a few minutes ago. They're not eliminating property tax. Florida and Kentucky are apples and oranges. They have so many things we do not. Look at their corporate structure in Florida. Look at their tourism dollars that they constantly bring in Florida. Look at the ports they have in Florida. The last I looked at Greenbrier, we're not docking ships out there, so we don't have one. And I didn't wear my reader, so I'm having a little trouble here. The school tax is 48% of your tax bill. That's what you said, 60 to 70.
Some counties, not our county, but they can range up to 72%.
It's 48%. Your county tax bill is 6%. One of the lowest on there. Fire, EMS are both 10. Your library is, I believe, 9 to 10, and your extension office falls right in line with the county. But the state, once, like I said, is 10% of your tax bill. And to replace that 10% on your car, with your cars, your vehicles, and that 10% only is going to cost you a 20% tax raise. You can cut out a constitutional office with a constitutional amendment, being the PVAs, and that'll save you $70 million. But it is not going to save you $4.9 billion. It's not going to happen. We can't. That's why Ohio, that's why Texas, that's why every other state that has tried this have had to backtrack and do it incrementally. You can't, when you rip the Band-Aid off, you got to be careful it's not over an artery and you're going to bleed to death. You just can't do it. And to propose it at this point, knowing the facts, the figures is rhetoric, and it's not, you can convince people to buy a car if you're a used car salesman, but you probably shouldn't be selling them a lemon. So, that's all I got to say on property taxes.
Can I rebut that real quick?
30 seconds, strictly 30 seconds.
Thank you. I just want to say something about Florida. Florida, they're wanting to phase it in. I think government in most states, they like the phase-in approach. They want to study things. Government is really bad about studying things. I want to go back to the Corps of Engineers issue here in Mount Sterling with the downtown flooding. They spent $400,000 of your money to study the flooding issue. I could have fixed it personally for half that amount of money. So they spent that money that vaporized, it went away, it's wasted, it's never coming back. Florida wants to phase it in. Government likes to move slow. I'm a workhorse. I'm a businessman. I'm confident in my numbers. I know my numbers upside down and sideways, and I stand behind my numbers. I'm happy to share them with anyone. I have a diagram. I've shared them multiple times publicly. And by the way, it's going to save taxpayers on average 80% on what you pay.
Anybody want to rebuttal?
It will not save them 80% of what they pay. It's a vacuum that has to be filled. You don't see any legislators in here nodding their head yes with you because it doesn't work. It is pure fiction. It will not work. You cannot do it. To even if you tried it, it would destroy our economy and our fixed income. And you said divide by class. That was the word I couldn't read well. Oh, sorry. Divide by class. Helping our senior citizens is not division. That's something we should be doing. We should be working to help our fixed income seniors, and we should be working to help our youth. And that's not dividing. That's something that should be unifying us.
We need to go back and forth.
We can one more time if you need to.
One more time, sorry.
It's an important issue, so let's do it.
I think first-time home buyers have it pretty hard right now. I am a realtor. I am also a real estate broker, which means I've trained and mentored other agents in this profession. I'm very passionate about real estate, property taxes. Affordable housing is probably the number one issue in our state legislature today. I don't know of a single person in the state that can fix this problem at the level I can. And I say that out of confidence, not cockiness. I want to be real clear. I understand math. I do very good at math. My wife's very good at math. She was a finance major, and I was a real estate major, and we synced up really well, and we're a heck of a team. I know my numbers. I'm confident in them. First-time home buyers are being beat up right now. We don't need to make it any harder on them by taking the burden off the seniors and putting it on the first-time home buyer. Make it fair for all.
Everybody good?
I'm not going to beat this horse anymore. It's laid down.
Labor force, workforce participation. Over the last decade, Kentucky's labor force participation rate has remained about the same, excluding the brief drop during COVID. The rate remained around the 58% mark, which is 4 points lower than the national average. Historically, Kentucky has been in the bottom 10 when it comes to workforce, or some as you know it, labor force participation. In the 74th district, in the years 2020 to 2024, Montgomery County had a 58% labor force rate, Bath County had a 53.8%, and Menifee County with a very low 44.5%, as well as an unemployment rate over 10% during that time span, which was the 7th highest in the state. What do you feel are the contributing factors to this low labor force rate in this district? And what can we do to increase labor force consistently in this district and change Kentucky's historic negative trend? Mr. Charles, you're first. You have 2 minutes.
All right. Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to keep our youth in our communities. Our retired people aren't working, so we need to keep our youth interested in our communities and provide them with opportunities here. Another thing is child care. There's 189 individuals right now in Montgomery County that want to work but do not have child care. There is a wonderful organization right up the road on I-64 called the Gateway Area Development District. They compile all these stats. They know all of these equations. We just had a daycare shut down because of overregulation. And it was, as described, pretty egregious that was doing it. Representative Hale, Senator Elkins got on that quick. Well, we had 3 young ladies who opened a new business and was able to take up some of that slack. But that still leaves 189 people that can't work because they can't find quality daycare. I know that there was some derision over the fact that the county supported and the city supported this group, but they did not spend any funds and they're not out any funds on this. Their support was through Gateway. Another thing we're going to have to do is provide training to re-educate people. And that's the micro business center I was speaking of are not the ones that have pool tables and so forth. And I know what Shannon was talking about. That was not meant in a negative context. The one I'm talking about is the ones like in Ashland, Kentucky, that you can actually go in and operate your business out of their facility on a rental basis by the hour. We have to provide quality training for our people so they can get the jobs that they want, and we have to provide opportunities for our youth so they want to stay. And we have to have the ability to do it through child care.
Mr. Denniston, 2 minutes.
We have to stop paying people not to work. We've got to find a way to put people back to work. And if hunger's not enough, I don't know what is, but we've got to quit paying people not to work. We've got to make it so that there's a transitionary method for people to go from being paid with taxpayer money not to work to getting back into full-time employment. And that's something we shouldn't just rip the Band-Aid off of like we're currently doing. There's a time to rip the Band-Aid off, and there's a time not to. This is a time that we should not rip that Band-Aid off because, the way that the government does it right now is you start making too much money, or you start making money and they take away your benefits. I think it should be a balancing act. As you start to make more income, we should reduce those benefits so your income, we don't just remove all the benefits and throw you out, right? So that's something that we need to implement as soon as possible. The severe lack of expectation in the workforce with your employment is lacking. The schools are just not producing graduates that are ready for the workforce. I understand some are, but the majority are not. Like it goes back to the 40% proficiency rate, 93% graduation rate. I mean, that proves it right there in itself. I disagree with government picking winners and losers. We were blindsided, I feel like, in this community when our local government decided to co-sign and go into business with a business by co-signing on their loan, and to talk about what that means is if they default, what that means is that now you, the taxpayers, are on the hook for that failed business. I don't believe that taxpayers should be used to build any type of business. I believe in free market solutions. I believe that if there is a need, and there is a severe need for daycare and child care, that need will be solved by the free market. Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
I agree with everything that Shannon said, but talking about the daycares have too many regulations. And then we just need to cut out the regulations. But I will say about the workforce, you have so many jobs in bureaucracy opening up, but yes, services are staying the same. Some of these jobs need to be cut.
Anybody want to rebut?
I would like to rebut, yes. Back to the strengthening of the family units that I spoke about earlier. I believe this is something that once we implement school choice in Kentucky, and we're getting you're going to get a light taste of it with the $1,700 tax credit bill that's moving through the chambers right now, which is also is a federal thing that Trump had started, and it's a light form, in my opinion, of school choice. We're going to have school choice soon. The first time it was a bad question. In all fairness, let's just call it what it was. It was a bad question that was on the ballot. It confused voters. So they voted against it, but 35% voted for it. Second time it should pass. One more quick second.
Quick.
Okay, very
Please.
quick. All right, yeah. So the family units, we give parents vouchers, $10,000. Heck, give them $20,000. I mean, if we're allocating $20,000 per child, give the parent $20,000. No, I'm kind of joking with that. Give them $10,000, so there's a savings to taxpayers for each voucher utilized. But can you imagine if you have 2 or 3 or 8 children, like one of my friends? If you had $10,000 per child, I'm pretty sure for $80,000 a year, mama could stay home with those children, not have to have third-party child care. Thank you.
Mr. Charles, you want anything you want to say?
Well, if you're going to give $10,000 apiece to every child, and I see the average tax bills coming in, I don't know where that's coming from property tax. That's not feasible. The average property tax in Montgomery County is $1,400 it's $1,380 for a residence. So $10,000, and that's not all going to the schools. But back to your question on your statement on the loan, governments picking winners and losers. We put out a broad call for this, and Gateway Ad, you may not have heard me, I may have leaned back from the mic. Gateway Ad is securing the loan. The county signed a letter of support, and so did the city, for a crisis where 90 families had just been kicked out of daycare. So I believe in an emergency like that, signing your name where someone else is taking the responsibility for the money is a very wise choice by our leaders.
I need to
Really quick, because we had a 2-hour mark, so hurry, please.
All right, so yes, so the Gateway Ad District, they're still, if these folks default on their loan, taxpayers are still ultimately responsible for it. That is wrong. It should never have happened that way. The $10,000 vouchers, allow me to explain real quick. We're spending $20,000 per child to educate a child in Kentucky. So what I'm proposing is that if we give a $10,000 voucher, that's a $10,000 savings to the taxpayer. So it cuts the cost of education in half. It does not pull any money out of education in that regard, but it does save the taxpayer $10,000 per child per year in Kentucky.
Okay. You got something quick, please?
No, it's fiction.
Okay. Kentucky's government transparency is governed by the Open Records Act and the Open Meetings Act, allowing residents to inspect public records and attend meetings of public agencies. The Open Records Act provides the right to inspect public records by any Kentucky resident. Open Meetings Act requires meetings of public agencies to be open to the public with minutes recorded and available. The state also has a transparency website, transparency.ky.gov. It provides public access to state expenditures, payroll, contacts, enhancing accountability for tax dollars. What reforms could be made to strengthen the trust between the people and their elected state, county, and city governments? Two candidates picked this topic, so Mr. Williams will let you go first this time.
Well, I'm kind of ashamed I didn't start with this in my opening statement, but I just want to say I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, and I wouldn't be nowhere without our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, government needs to bring God back into the equation. It seems like we've taken one nation under God out of the equation, and we need to bring God back into the equation. And everyone has a natural morality. And where does morality come from? It comes from God. And I just think if we bring God back into the equation, and we need more godly men in government, and I believe that will help reform and help with the people's trust. And I also want to say this. I've been a proven fighter, and I never give up. And there's actually someone in the crowd that has told me not to run for state representative when I first announced I was going to run. I was told not to run by this person. And they said, I'm running up against two tough candidates, and Dave and Shannon. That didn't discourage me one bit. That actually inspired me to run even more. I mean, I decided to run, and that's what you all need. You all need a representative who won't back down to anyone.
Mr. Charles, what reforms could be made to strengthen the trust between the people and their elected state, county, and city governments?
What the people need to do is attend meetings. Now, I know I hear that meetings are often at times that people can't attend. But when you shine a light on it, then they'll know. You can't hide it in the dark. Now, the county has daytime meetings and nighttime meetings. The school board is at 5:30. City council meetings are at 7 o'clock. Parks and Rec has went back and forth over the years, alternating meetings between noon and 6 o'clock. So people can attend, and the average attendance is almost zero. You need to be involved in your local governments and know what's going on. As far as reforms, the Sunshine Law is pretty daggone clear. You must abide by those. I answer probably 10 open records requests a week. I get them from judges, I get them from defense attorneys, I get them from the news media. I get them constantly. I know how to answer them, and I answer them correctly. It's a plain and simple thing. You need to be involved in your community. If you're not involved in your government, then you really can't complain intelligently on what's going on because you don't know. So get involved, and that way your complaints are, you know what you're talking about, and you'd be surprised how many times you're right.
Mr. Denniston, I know you picked this topic as well. So did Aaron. That's why I started with him. But you go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So open records request, very important. I use them extensively. I've also trained numerous people in how to use them extensively as well. It's part of what used to be it was a free process. Now they're trying to make money off of you as taxpayers each time you submit one. Some places, for instance, the school board, I darn near got arrested by going to the school and asked, my school, here in Montgomery County, asking to see the budget. They almost arrested me. I don't think that's right. I went to the central office and I said, I actually emailed it. and my request, and they said, hey, we'll take care of that request. We'll get it right back to you. And I asked them to send it to me in a file, a PDF, just real simple, quick, and easy. They should have it readily available. And instead, they printed a big, tall stack of documents, and they tried to attempt to charge me a lot of money for these documents. And they didn't understand the process, so they need to be better trained on the process. Government needs to have classes, more classes, if they're already having classes. I don't know what they need more training on the process. But that situation was quickly resolved. I was asked to leave, and of course I cooperated, and they said, we're gonna have to contact our school board attorney, and we'll get back to you. We don't know if what you're saying is accurate or not. And come to find out, it was accurate, because I do my homework. And when I was there and I asked for these records, they said, the lawyer called me, and she said, Shannon, it's okay, the stack of documents, I paid for them. I charged them a few $100s for my hour or two of labor, to you all, to taxpayers, for this. And she said, you can stop by anytime and pick them up. And that's how that went down. I think that we do need to strengthen our open records. I need one more second. Another example is with the landfill. I was just curious, as a real estate professional, if the landfill is paying their fair share. I can tell you they are not. When I asked our judge executive for a copy of the, well, first I went to the PBA, and the PBA told me it was tax exempt. And I said, well, there's no way this 1,000+ acres and all these parcels could be tax exempt. They're paying $35,000 an acre, by the way. If you have some acreage out there you want to sell, that's what they're paying. $35,000 an acre, folks, for vacant land. So the $35,000, I had to use an open records request, and I had to go to the state, and I was told it was private information, their property assessment. We can talk more about it, but I am very much in favor of strengthening the open records request laws. And Mr. Williams, more candidates means stronger candidates. We all have to work. I think that there was one of us on the stage tonight that thought he was just going to get elected based on name recognition alone. That's not a derogatory. That does happen a whole lot.
Sounds like it.
I don't mean it that way. I respect you a lot. I voted for you both times. And I would vote for you again as sheriff.
Do you want to respond real quick? We got to get on to our final question.
Yeah, once again, there's a whole lot to unpack there. Rumpke does not pay local taxes directly on the landfill itself. It's a law through the state. They pay it to the state. It's on a fixed value, and they disperse it back. The 1,000 acres around it is paid property tax. The tax in the industrial park is taxed. That's not true. Nor did I think I would just get elected because of my name. But I do appreciate your previous support. I look forward to having it this fall.
Real quick rebuttal.
Wait.
His name was brought up. Let him go first real quick.
My name was mentioned. You talked about stronger candidates. Well, here I am. I'm a proven fighter. I'm proven to not give up. I haven't gave up in anything I've done in my life. I've never gave up. If I didn't achieve it the first time, I worked harder the second time.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Mr. Denniston.
The carve-out. So, yes, that is correct. They did. The landfills went to work with their lobbyists and their lawyers, and they got a sweetheart deal that you and I don't get. And that sweetheart deal, what that includes is, instead of our local PVAs who know our areas best, they delegated it to the state level to let the state level do the assessments. So they got a carve-out. They got a sweetheart deal. That happened in about 2016. We're going to reverse that. It's not right. No more carve-outs.
You spoke of transparency, and did anyone mention social media or anything?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. I don't think anybody mentioned social media. No? Okay. We're going to move on to our final question and in closing statements. Economic mobility. In Kentucky, economic mobility is primarily shaped by a divide between growing metropolitan centers and struggling rural regions, particularly in eastern Kentucky. In Kentucky's Gateway region, where we're at, a sharp economic divide exists between Montgomery County's industrial strength and the rural service-dependent economies of Bath and Menifee County. While Montgomery County functions as the area's powerhouse, Bath and Menifee lag, with Menifee specifically struggling with a low labor participation rate, I'll say it correctly, and a 23.6% poverty rate. As our representative, what specific legislative policies will you champion in Frankfort that will translate into upward mobility for the residents of Bath, Menifee, and Montgomery counties, as well as Kentuckians across the state. Mr. Charles, you start first. You have 2 minutes.
First thing I would do is I would craft legislation to help fund a micro business center located within our district. This micro business center will allow local entrepreneurs to work and rent time on the machinery to support their business, get them going. Second thing I would do is direct the division up here, the Adult Education Center, to switch over to teach industrial arts. That's what we need, is skilled workers who can work lathes, who can work mills. Those are high-paying jobs, who can do the welding required in industry, as well as our Maysville Community College are offering degrees now in HVAC and electricity, and electricians. However, that is not training you to be an HVAC and electrician worker. And that is something I would help fund and demand for our community so that people can develop these skills that will pay them. My father, who's stepping out there, had a plan when I was young. My father has an 8th grade education, but he had a plan for me, and my mother had a plan for me. And they made me stick to that plan, and they made me bring home good grades. And when I got a scholarship to go to Moorhead, it didn't pay much, but they looked at me and they said, "You're going. We will make it work." And they did. And we need to make sure that we provide those same opportunities for all of our youth by investing in the training they need, not just the ABCs and the math in school, but also the real life skills that it's going to take to help them earn a living that will put food on their table and make their next generation better.
Mr. Denniston, you're next. You got 2 minutes.
We need better infrastructure. Better infrastructure. It's going to be better, easier for people to get to different locations for these jobs. You know, Bath and Menifee. Sometimes, you know, Menifee is a fair distance from the interstate, for instance. So we might need to look at some more roads. One quick thing that comes to mind on I-64, and this is going to help tourism, is we need an exit in the opposite direction of the exit that goes to the parkway. So you probably know where I'm talking about. But that's one such example. We need to eliminate, so better infrastructure, we need to eliminate red tape. There's a tremendous amount of red tape, and go back to segue back to the about housing. My wife and I, we attended, it took 5 years, 33 meetings with planning and zoning to get one housing project approved of affordable and handicap housing project that we've been working on. It took 5 years. 5 years. It cost hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million at this point, that now future renters of that project will have to foot the bill on. So elimination of red tape, expedition of permitting, and some of the bills in the House are going in that direction, and I would most likely support. Also, we need to require schools to teach entrepreneurship. I think the bar should be to be an entrepreneur. Not long ago in our country, well, I mean, it's been a few hundred years ago, but in the scheme of things, in millions of years, it's a short while ago. The majority of people were actually business owners, believe it or not, and the majority of people were entrepreneurs. Do I think we'll get back to that day? Maybe not, but do I think we can get closer than where we are? Yes. So I would like to see more entrepreneurs be created. And the only way we're going to get there, the business incubator centers, absolutely, we need those. I agree with my opponent on that. And more jobs, you know, more entrepreneurs equals more jobs, and when you have more jobs, they compete for your wage. It drives up your wage so you can pay your bills. One more second, please. I was expected to attend college. I didn't want to go to college. My parents didn't have the money to put me through college, so I had to work hard and earn a full ride scholarship. My oldest daughter, Madison, she, same thing. She wanted to go to college. We refused to pay for her college. We said, you can take out a loan for college or you can earn your way to college. So guess what she did? She put her head down, went to work, and earned enough scholarships, multiple scholarships, to put herself through college. Our youngest daughter, I bribed out of college, and I made the same offer to my oldest daughter as well. And when I say bribed out, I wanted to see her take a different career path, such as an entrepreneur. So she's a business owner today. Thank you very much,
Mr. Williams.
It seems like after every question, Mr. Denniston is saying, "1 more second." Well, I only need 1 second. I think boosting tourism.
Okay. We'll now be reaching the moment of closing statements. Mr. Williams, I'll let you go first.
What you'll get out of me is a proven fighter, proven to never give up. I am not afraid to stand up and fight back to anything that I know is wrong. And Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Mr. Charles.
Well, I believe tonight that if you're willing to open them, you can see with your own eyes what some of these proposals entail. I have purposely tonight avoided speaking about law enforcement. I have an extensive background in it, and I avoided it because I'm not going to Frankfurt for law enforcement. I'm going as a representative. I encouraged Aaron, and Aaron will tell you that when he told me he was running, and I encouraged him and told him I'd give him whatever advice he needed. He is a wonderful young man. Shannon, the same. He's nothing bad to say. However, in every question that came up tonight, it was referred to housing. There's more to our government than just housing. We have to be able to provide for everyone. And I will do that. I will work hard. I will be your voice in Frankfurt. I believe in listening more than talking. I will not give you a word salad or anything like that. I want to know what you need, not what I want to tell you you need. And that's my promise to you. I will go to Frankfurt. I will work hard for you. I will work hard for everybody in our districts. A rising tide will lift all boats. And that is my promise to everyone here tonight. I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank Shannon. I want to thank Aaron. It takes a lot of nerve to get on a debate stage. This is my third scheduled debate, but it is the first time anyone is sitting a chair up here with me. And for that, I thank you, gentlemen. I'm proud of you. It takes a lot of nerve to get up here. And I just want to tell you how appreciative I am of that. Once again, Bobby, I'm going to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
I know all the hard work and expense. If you look in front of each one of us, he bought these mics. These are his. All this equipment is his. He's put a lot of time, effort, and money into this and deserves all the credit in the world for it. It has made me a better candidate. I am more educated now than I was before this debate was ever thought about, and it has made me a more well-rounded, no fat jokes, guys, candidate than I ever thought I could be. I can tell you how many miles of roadway are in this district. 1,196. I can tell you how many bridges are in this district, 179. Each one of them, 53% are owned by the local entities. There's 12 water districts in our district. There's 6 sanitation divisions. Didn't get to go over all that tonight, but I had it. Ring it, Bobby.
Shannon, I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes.
Thank you very much. I want to thank my opponents as well. Opposition makes better candidates. I wish there was twice as many here on the stage tonight, or maybe 5 times as many. We have some races running where there's some censorship going on where you don't get to hear from all the candidates, and I think that's wrong. This is a hard thing to do. It's a very hard thing to do. I encourage others to try it, and I'll help you do it. None of us have to do this. This is a pure act of public service. Mr. Hale knows that. You make so many sacrifices. Days away from your family. Long nights on the road. Maybe having to stay in a motel because you can't keep your eyes open to get home, right, after meetings. There's a lot of work involved with this. I'm up for it. I'm a fighter. I don't think you'll find someone that'll fight like I fight. I've been giving this campaign 120 hours a week. I know that's mind-blowing. But anybody that is close to me will agree and will tell you that that's the truth. I'm not going to lie to anybody in this room. I promise to be your voice. I promise to fight harder than you've ever seen a man or woman fight. We're going to achieve our mission. We're going to end the property tax in the state of Kentucky. And I get corrected when I say the state of Kentucky because we're a commonwealth here. But we're going to get it done. we're going to achieve this mission. Notice I'm saying we are going to achieve this mission. I'm 1/2, or I'm 1% of 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. There's 100 state representatives. I'm 1% of those. That means I have to use persuasion and a lot of other things to get this mission accomplished. As a fighter, some things that I haven't shared openly, but I'm going to share here tonight because you should know how dangerous this position is. It's not just something that you take lightly. It's not something that you just attempt. It's something that you go all in on, or you just don't do it, is my opinion. I'm all in on this. I want you to know that. I'm 100% all in for each one of you on this. I'm a business owner. I haven't spent 39 years in government. I'm not a career politician. I hate the word politician. It's disgusting to me. When I think of politician, I think of bad people. I think of evilness. I think of sliminess. I think of bad things when I hear the word politician. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I want to thank Bobby for putting together this magnificent event. This is the nicest, best produced event I've been to. You know, it is a debate. It's my first debate, but I've watched a lot of them, okay? And you've done an exceptional job here tonight. And I want to thank the voters. Not everybody can vote. Thank you for registering. Thank you for switching over. If you're brand new to the Republican Party, thank you for coming over to the right side. I want to thank God, for without God, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing here today. And that's all I have to say.
Real quick.
I forgot to thank you, Bobby. So
You're welcome,
thank
buddy.
you for doing this.
Real quick, go ahead and give a round of applause for the candidates tonight. I want to thank all three of you guys for allowing me to do this and trusting me to do this. I try to be neutral and fair as possible with organizing all this. I want to thank those who helped me. I'll leave them nameless as far as helping me develop a couple of these questions. I want to thank all of you for attending tonight and those who are watching online. I see in the room we have elected officials from the Republican side. We have Democrat Party, Montgomery County leadership here. That's very, very important. At some point in time, as a community, as a state, as a country, we have to come together. Forget the Republican side, the Democrat side. At some point, we have to come together in order to move forward. We have to figure out a way to sit at the table and get things accomplished. I would encourage you as a community to put the pressure on your local Republican and Democrat parties to make sure events like this take place for many, many seats, not just in Frankfort, but in your local counties as well. The dialogue, the communication, you want to build transparency, this is how you do it. You want answers, this is how you do it. But again, thank everybody tonight. Mr. Hale, Representative Hale, let me call you by your title, Pastor Representative Hale. Thank you so much for everything that you have done. You have been a great leader, and I meant every word that I said earlier in my opening statement. I couldn't thank you enough for being the man that you are. And I wish you the best after, well, I wish you the best always, but after retirement at the end of December. Thank you once again. Mr. Elkins, thank you for being here tonight and taking time out of your evening to be here. Alvarado, Mr. Alvarado, thank you for coming tonight. Everybody else, thank you. Have a good night. Stick around. If you have any questions for the candidates, I'm sure they'll be willing to stick around and talk to you for a few minutes. And one more thing, I do want to thank, once again, Superintendent Thompson, who has always been there for me throughout his time here in Montgomery County Schools. Personally, I think Matt Thompson is a great leader, and I have a bad feeling that Montgomery County is really, really going to miss that man when he retires at the end of this year. Thank you.